Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Silent again with another YouTube tutorial. This episode, this time I wanted to do one on DNS Resolver. People are requesting on how to do this. I'll try to make this a quick video. It's really not much to do. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do, alright, is you're going to want to set up a DNS server name. I'll get to what the DNS resolver does in a minute after I show you what you're supposed to do on the DNS name. Alright, let me just switch windows here for a minute. Okay. Alright. So on for the DNS, it's really simple. All you're gonna do is you're gonna make a subdomain. Well, you can use a regular domain if you want, but I recommend using a subdomain. You can either make an A record or a C name. Either one for the subdomain. But I made an A record, and I pointed it on Cloudflare here, and I pointed it to my VPS IP. Make sure it's not, if you're using Cloudflare or whatever, make sure it's not proxied. Make sure it says DNS only. Alright? Alright, and then after you make your DNS name, you're gonna need to give it a few minutes to propagate in the DNS internet world. I can't think for the life of me what it's called, but yeah, it takes a few moments for the internet to know that this DNS name belongs to your server IP for whatever reason. Alright, and one good way to just test that is you can just ping the server name, which is what I usually do. So just ping, and I name mine NS1 silentlive.gq. Okay, see, you can see that it's pinging my my server. Alright. Alright, so back to the Visual Studio part of this. Okay, so for those of you that don't know how to, I guess, set this up properly, it's really easy. I will leave the DNS Resolver code in the description. I might do yeah, I'll just leave it in the description. But when you put it into your stealth server, you're gonna find something called where you're gonna find where all your network connections are at. It's where the IP and the port number are at to connect to the server. So you're gonna find in there and just find somewhere at the top, just put it in like I have it right here. And then you're gonna take INT DNS resolver and so like this says network CPP, find something called network H and put it in there. What I did is I just put it in the STD AFX header. Yeah. So just put it in like this. All right. So that way, on the main on this main CPP, you can call it. You can call that function like I have here. Okay. So what's going on here? All this actually does is, so here's your DNS name. Here's the DNS that I came up with. All right. So you have to put it in exactly similar to this. You have to have like each letter, so like N between the two apostrophes, and then comma, and then S between the two apostrophes, and then the same with the next character, letter, character, or whatever. All right. And at the end here, don't fuck with this 0. Just leave the 0 as is at the end here. If you mess with it, it isn't gonna work. All right, so it takes the server DNS name and it does a DNS lookup. It looks up the DNS, and what it does is it basically pings your DNS server for the IP address. So it'll ping upon startup. The Xbox 360 will ping my DNS. It will with this that's what's going on right here when it pings the DNS. This PDNS, that's exactly what it's doing. Okay. What was I gonna say? Okay, so after it pings the address or whatever, it's gonna take that ping information, and then this function right here, it's gonna memory copy the pinged DNS, the IP address into IP result. Once it fills the byte array up here with the 4 bytes, the 4 bytes, 4 numbers or whatever. Sorry, I apologize if I'm explaining this if I'm not explaining it that well or my words are jumbled, but it's pretty simple. But yeah, it's gonna store it up here in the byte array, and then the whatever's stored up there, it's going to be set up down here where the server actually is connecting. So you see sock ADR, send ADR, something like this, all right? So that's how that works. That's how it basically works. As you can see here, it's pretty simple. After it finds an address, it returns 0 success. If fail, it returns 1. That's basically all it is. This XN caller system app, a lot of this other stuff, I'm not going to go into. You can play around with it if you want. Okay, and then so a couple things to note on the DNS resolver. All right, it has to be, when you put it in, it has to be for the actual internet connection. Like the DNS resolver function code or whatever has to run first before you initialize connection. If you don't, well, you're pretty much trying to connect without any IP address. That makes sense, because you gotta resolve the IP first before you connect to the IP. Does that make sense? I hope that does. All right, and then another thing too. Okay. Essentially, you're gonna have to have live strong and live block both off. Otherwise, if you don't, the DNS resolver will not be able to ping your VPS IP. It's just simple as that. Also, make sure it's before initialized connection. So again, you need to make sure that the DNS resolver is resolving the IP before you actually initialize connection to the server. So you have the IP address stored in that byte array I showed you earlier. All right, let's go ahead and test this out, eh? Yeah. Go ahead and build this here. This might take a minute. Right. Okay, so I'll be back here in a minute. I'm going to copy this over to 360 and boot it up just so we can test it out and I can show you that it's working. All right, hang on. Okay, all right. Got the stuff copied over, and we're gonna try to see if this works now. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and reboot my console. This should work. There we go. All right, it's already connecting. Auth presence. All right, cool. All right, well that is basically all there is to the DNS resolver. You shouldn't have too many problems, but again, like I said, if you have any issues, I don't know, just double check the code. That's usually going to be your main problem. Make sure the DNS is set up correctly. Make sure your characters are right in the DNS resolver when you put in your DNS name. What else? Make sure that life block and life strong are off. Okay. And make sure that the DNS resolver is the code function is running before the initialized connection. Before you before you have your server, have the stealth client connect to the server. All right. Till next time. Peace out.